you. I'd also like to thank the staff and the interns and the volunteers who are here today. Let's give them a big round of applause. We've worked tirelessly to get this year's festival ready and launched. I am joined here by Program Director Jay Rosenblatt and Programmer Joshua Moore, and we are very pleased to present to you this year's fantastic lineup. This is our 36th anniversary year, and in Jewish life, this is our double high anniversary. Not to be confused with a double chai, which we also really love. In Hebrew, each letter has a numerical value, and the numbers 10 and 8 together spell chai, meaning life. And so this year we are celebrating a doubly fabulous, long and prosperous life with many exciting events for our Bay Area film aficionados. Last year we launched our new umbrella name, the Jewish Film Institute, and with it our JFI On Demand, Video On Demand platform. And this year we have expanded our national and international reach and are now streaming over 50 feature films on JFI On Demand. We also continue to stream our online shorts, programmed by Joshua Moore, on our YouTube channel, and this year we have hit an astounding 1.8 million views. And all of the countries in the world practically have accessed our excellent online content. This year, we are proud to announce a new national digital partnership with Independent Television Service and their new online platform, OV. We are joining with ITVS this year and using OV, which is a social television platform, to host national conversations throughout the year online with filmmakers across the globe, replicating the film festival experience in the online environment. So check out our JFI On Demand newsletter for details and join JFI to find out about these fabulous new hangouts. And now on to the festival. SFJFF36 stands for Excellence, Originality, Innovation, and celebrates the full spectrum of Jewish life and identity. Our lineup features 68 films from 16 countries and 10 big night programs around the Bay. First, we are very proud to be back with our 10-day Castro run in San Francisco, including 2 full weekends. And this year, our guests will be able to sample our savory treats. L'chaim Sushi will be back. And we will get a peek at the brand new show at CJAM, which is fittingly Stanley Kubrick, the exhibition. In the East Bay, we're back at Berkeley Rep for our Berkeley run with Berkeley Big Night happening at the Berkeley Rep courtyard. And we'll also be at Cine Arts in Palo Alto, the Piedmont Theater in Oakland, and the Christopher B. Smith Rafael Film Center in Marin. Okay, on to the big nights. Since 2005, the San Francisco Jewish Film Festival has presented the Freedom of Expression Award annually to honor the unfettered imagination, which is the cornerstone of a free and just society. This year, we are proud to honor the Freedom of Expression Award recipient, television writer, producer, and activist Norman Lear. He created groundbreaking television on the most relevant issues of our times while speaking up as an American citizen for equality, freedom of expression, and justice. His creativity inspired a whole new generation of television writers, and his fierce advocacy of tolerance and compassion for others is needed now more than ever. Norman Lear will be joining us on Sunday, July 24th at the historic Castro Theater to receive the award following a screening of Rachel Grady and Heidi Ewing's definitive chronicle of his life, Norman Lear, Just Another Version of You. Mm-hmm. This film was the opening night film at the Sundance Film Festival, and this screening will be its Bay Area premiere. This screening will be followed by an onstage conversation with Lear, moderated by former SFJFF Executive Director Peter Stein. This year we have something very special, a new big night. It's called Film and Feast, for those of you foodies in the crowd. The film is In Search of Israeli Cuisine, directed by Roger Sherman. In it, Michael Solomonoff, the author and celebrated chef of Zahav, A World of Israeli Cooking, which was incidentally the James Beard Best Cookbook of the Year for 2016. He takes us on a guided journey of mouth-watering cuisine through the diverse world of Israel, drawn from more than 100 cultures that make up the Israeli population. The feast is immediately following the screening at Ache, the restaurant in the Castro, where a film and party ticket gets film goers into SFJFF's homage to Chef Solomonoff, where local chefs are paying tribute to Solomonoff, including Ryan Polnow of Ache, Nick Bala and Courtney Burns of Bar Tartine, and Chef Murad Lalou of Murad and Aziza. They will be preparing Solomonoff-inspired dishes, and both the director and Michael Solomonoff will be there to schmooze with us during the feast.
Hi, everybody. Hello? Hear me? Hi, everybody, and welcome. My name is Jay Rosenblatt. I'm the program director, as Lexi has said, and I'm really excited about this year.
We can't hear you.
You can't. Can you hear me now?
I don't think
Okay.
Lainey's mic was on either.
Oh, really?
It's on.
It's on? It's funny, because this reminds me of a scene from one of the films we're showing. It's called The Rider, and we'll tell you about it later, but the very first scene is similar to this. Anyway, I'm very excited about this year. I don't know whether it's because Double High had the cinema gods looking over us, but we were able to get a lot of fantastic films, and our big nights are really big this year. So I'm going to tell you about opening night first, and you're going to, if you stick around, you'll be able to see this film. In all my time here, this is, I think, my favorite opening night film that we've programmed. It's called The 10th Man. It's directed by Daniel Berman. It's an Argentinian film. We saw this film at the Berlin Film Festival, where it was the opening night film of their panorama section. And Daniel Berman is not a stranger to our festival. He's had other films here. Most recently, he had a film called All In. He's had a film called Lost Embrace and also Empty Nest. This is a poignant, touching, heartfelt, romantic comedy about a man who returns home after many years to help out his father, who runs a Jewish charity in the El Once neighborhood of Buenos Aires. And his father deftly engineers a way in which he ends up getting involved with a Orthodox woman. It's really funny, and Daniel Berman will be here in person for the screening. And we have 3 other screenings after opening night at each of our venues, or most of our venues, I should say. Our closing night film this year is For the Love of Spock, and this is a endearing personal documentary made by Leonard Nimoy's son, Adam Nimoy, about his father, and it appeals to everyone, whether you're a Trekkie or not. I happen to not be a Trekkie, and I found the film delightful. There's interviews with former cast members, William Shatner, George Takei, Star Trek Next Generation cast members, and Deep Space Nine cast members. There's great footage of Leonard Nimoy, great archival shots, how he started out in television, stories about how this came about. I'm not going to tell you all about that, but it's a Jewish reference. And Adam will be here, the producer will be here for the closing night film and party, and it's also screening the next day in Berkeley. Adam was really wanted another screening in Berkeley because he went to UC Berkeley. So in some sense, it's a coming home for him. Our two centerpiece films. We have a centerpiece documentary called Robert Klein Still Can't Stop His Leg. And this is, how many people are familiar with the comedian Robert Klein? Just curious. He was probably one of the most influential comedians in the 70s and early 80s. He, along with George Carlin and Richard Pryor, is mentioned as these seminal comedians of that era who influenced Seinfeld and Bill Maher. These are people that are interviewed in the film and sing his praises, but it's also a film that follows Robert Klein around in his daily life, and he is able to make jokes, and he finds humor in everything. So we follow him around. It's directed by the film critic Marshall Fine, who also has directed a couple of documentaries before this. Both of them will be here in person. We're very excited that Robert Klein will be here. It's a one-time only screening at the Castro, and he's still really, really funny. That's what really hit home for me. And we also have some other comedy films that we'll bring up in a little while. Our centerpiece narrative film is called Natasha, and this is directed by the writer David Bezmazgis, and it's based on his collection of short stories. He's written for The New Yorker and other publications. And this is a sort of coming-of-age story about a teenager in Toronto, and his step-cousin comes to Toronto with her family and deals with a lot of issues about budding sexuality, and it's a hard-hitting film, and we were really excited that we'll be able to show it. David will be here in person. We have several screenings of the film, and yeah, that's about it on that. Take it away, Josh.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Joshua Moore, and so naturally I'm going to talk about the film Joshi. Every once in a while we have a film with my name, and I end up talking about it. It also happens to be our Next Wave Spotlight, and our Next Wave programming is kind of fresh, innovative stories that appeal to younger audiences but aren't exclusively for younger audiences. And we offer a Next Wave Pass, which is $35, and you have to be 35 or younger, and that gets you into almost every film in the festival. You know, the Next Wave Spotlight and all of our regular programs. So it's a great deal, and we're really happy to be able to offer that. So this film, Joshi, it debuted at the Sundance Film Festival. It's a really funny film directed by Jeff Baina, who had a film called Life After Beth, which we showed at our Winterfest last year, and stars a really great kind of who's who of 30-something rising stars in the comedy world. Nick Kroll from The Kroll Show, Jenny Slate from Obvious Child, Thomas Middleditch from HBO's Silicon Valley, and Aubrey Plaza, who was in Parks and Rec and will be at the screening with Jeff Baina. So that's one not to miss. And then we're having a Castro mezzanine reception for pass holders after the screening as well, with refreshments and food. Our next big night that we haven't talked about yet is our Berkeley Big Night. As Lexi mentioned, we're back at the Berkeley Rep, the Rhoda Theater. It's a beautiful space and it has a really amazing courtyard that's perfect for parties. So we're really looking forward to having to be back at that space and have a party after the film The Last Laugh. This film debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival. It's directed by Fern Perlstein, who's a Stanford alum and a really highly acclaimed documentary cinematographer, actually. And she's shot this film and directed it. And the film is very innovative. It's definitely going to push some buttons. It's about humor and the Holocaust, you know, and ultimately about censorship on a whole. What jokes can we tell? What is funny? What is not funny? What is appropriate? What's not appropriate? And it features some legendary comedians like Mel Brooks and Carl Reiner, and more contemporary people like Sarah Silverman. And she also adds a Holocaust survivor to the story and to get her take on this type of humor, which I think really balances out the film. And her name is Renee Firestone, and she'll be joining Fern at the screening for our Berkeley Big Night. And we also have a local spotlight. This film is called Wrestling Jerusalem. It's based on Aaron Davidman's one-man show. He's the former head of the Traveling Jewish Theater, which I hope you're familiar with. This film is really remarkable in the sense that it is only Aaron Davidman on screen for about 90 minutes, and he's electrifying. He plays 17 different characters. He is amazing doing accents and really capturing multiple perspectives on the current state of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. There's drama, there's humor. It's also exquisitely shot. It's not just a concert film. There's multiple locations, and it's really an amazing piece of work, and it's the world premiere of the film, so we're really excited to have that. And the director, it's by Dylan Cussman, and Aaron Davidman will be at the screening for that as well.
Great, and so we'll move forward from theater to television. During the past few years, we've really been spotlighting a lot of new TV series. The film and media world has been changing exponentially, and television, cable, and online streaming has really provided a lot of our most talented and gifted writers and directors the opportunity to showcase their work on these broad platforms. And many of the stories allow for more complex character development and deeper storyline development. So anchored by our Freedom of Expression Award to Norman Lear and our tribute to Leonard Nimoy in our closing night film, this year we're going to spotlight the small screen in a spotlight section called Televisionaries. So the highlights of this spotlight are a new Israeli series called The Writer, which Jay mentioned at the beginning, the one that kind of gave a little preview of the microphone sound issue. This is a new autobiographical series written by Syed Kashua, who is the creator of Arab Labor, which is an SFJFF favorite. First introduced to U.S. audiences by the San Francisco Jewish Film Festival. And Syed Kashua will be joining us after the screening of several episodes of The Writer. And we'll talk about the role of Arab-Palestinian identity in his life and struggling with the identity crisis that affects his sense of belonging and nationality. This is really funny. Like Arab Labor, it really brings out a lot of humor, but it's also a very serious look at that hybrid identity. And Syed Kashua was recently featured in a New Yorker article where we learned that he's living now in the United States. So it'll be very interesting to hear his perspective on American life as well. Next in the Televisionary series is False Flag, and not since Prisoners of War, Gideon Raff's Israeli series, has there been such a great nail-biting espionage thriller out of Israel. This is something that Jay and I saw at Berlin Alley, and we fell in love immediately with it. We could not wait to see the rest of the season. This series features 5 Israeli citizens who wake up one morning to discover that they're suspects in the kidnapping of the Iranian Minister of Defense. The 5 become wanted, and the news coverage of their involvement turns their worlds upside down. Who are they? Even their loved ones begin to question whether they were guilty of being involved. So we're going to show several episodes of False Flag, followed by a discussion with writer Amit Cohen, who will be here to discuss the series. And finally, 2 years ago, we premiered a new series, Shtisel, which features a family in the Haredi community in Jerusalem. This was a really groundbreaking series in Israel because for the first time it provided a real glimpse into a dramatic series featuring Haredi life. And we're bringing it back with season 2, 2 episodes. And don't worry, if you missed season 1, you can watch the whole season on JFI On Demand. The first 3 episodes are free, and when you binge watch the whole series, the rest of it is 80% off. So it's a bargain.
So this year we have a spotlight on Jews in Germany. We have 3 films part of this. The first film I wanted to mention is called A German Life. And this film will screen at the Castro, along with some other venues. And after the Castro screening, we're going to have an extended discussion about this film at Congregation Shahar Zahav. We felt that this film is going to bring up a lot of issues, and we wanted to have a venue and opportunity for the audience to continue the conversation. It's directed by 4 directors, and 2 of them will be with us at the festival. And it's about a woman named Brunhilde Pomsel, who was the secretary to Joseph Goebbels during the war. She was actually in the bunker. And she's now 104 years old. And she's very lucid. What she tells us is kind of eye-opening. It's shot in stark black and white, close-up, for most of the film, intercut with archival footage, propaganda films from Germany and also America. And it creates a nice counterbalance to the information she's telling us. I think this is a film that's very timely, given what's happening in our own country, and I think that it's going to be one of the most talked about films at the festival. Another film, part of this Jews in Germany spotlight, is called The People versus Fritz Bauer. This is a narrative film based on true events and real people. Fritz Bauer was an attorney general in Germany, post-war Germany, who was very influential in bringing Adolf Eichmann to justice. And it stars Burkhard Klausner, who was in White Ribbon, if you saw the Michael Hanke film, and also was in a film that we showed opening night a few years ago called The Zigzag Kid. And this is a really taut drama. Fritz Bauer was a closeted gay man, and that features prominently in the film also. It's one of the many LGBT titles we're screening this year. And the last film, part of this spotlight, is called Germans and Jews. This is a contemporary documentary about Jews that now live in Germany and are returning to Germany, and all the different reasons for that. And we have really insightful interviews with these people and some Germans at a big dinner party. And both directors are going to be here joining us for that screening too.
Another highlight of the program is our Take Action Day, and this is a full day on July 29th of films about repairing the world through your actions, which is the Jewish philosophy of Tikkun Olam. And we've been doing this for a few years now to great success. And all of these films are documentaries that have current issues that, that we'll be able to discuss with the filmmakers and with our moderator, Susan Stern. She's a filmmaker who did Barbie Nation and The Self-Made Man. And we're offering a pass that gets you into all of these films. There's 5 of them. And it's $30 or $36 if you're not a member. And that's 5 films, a panel, and a reception. So that's a really good deal. The films that we're showing are A New Color with a short film, Arc of Justice. The director of A New Color, Mo Morris, is local, and she'll be here with the subject Edith Boone, who is a muralist. She did the Women's Building and the Mission and many other ones. And she actually has a personal connection to one of the victims of the recent police brutality, which spawned Black Lives Matter. And the film's a chronicle of her life, and she'll be with us as well. And then the filmmakers of the short film will be attending as well. Other films tackle LGBT rights, gentrification, rape, sexual assault, and cyberbullying. 2 of the films are going to be debuting on HBO next year. Those are Class Divide, which is about gentrification in New York City, especially in the African American communities, and Abortion Stories Women Tell, which is by Tracy Tragos, who directed Rich Hill. Both of those will be on HBO following the festival next year, so we're really excited to be able to show them first. Another film in the program is Audrey and Daisy. This was a Sundance film directed by Bonnie Cohen and Jeff Shank, who will be here in person. They've done many great films, including The Island President and The Rape of Europa. And it's a very timely film, especially with what's happened on the Stanford campus recently. It's about a sexual assault and then kind of the aftermath of that in the online community. And it's, like I said, very timely, important film, which I hope you come out to see. And we will be having discussions about all of these issues afterwards and letting audiences know how they can get involved. So I hope to see you there, and that is our Take Action Day on July 29th.
So you may have noticed that we have a lot of titles this year from the Sundance Film Festival, and we have several Israeli highlights from Sundance this year as well. And they're both narrative fiction and documentary films that reflect the full diversity of Israeli culture and society, as well as come from a full spectrum of political perspectives. And so the highlights of the Israeli selections are Sandstorm, which was at Sundance and took the World Dramatic Award there, the Grand Jury Prize. This is one of my favorite films in the festival. It's a narrative fiction film directed by a female Israeli filmmaker who spent many years living in Bedouin communities in Israel, in the Negev desert, with her mother, who is an artist and who taught art to Bedouins in the Negev. And she spent many years writing this wonderful script, which features the struggle between tradition and modernity in the Bedouin community as it relates to girls coming of age. And it's a really poignant and well-crafted film, beautifully shot, and is really groundbreaking in its portrayal, I think, of Bedouin culture and identity. The lead is played by a non-actor who's a Palestinian Israeli from Haifa, who really gives a stunning performance as the daughter in the family who's struggling for her independence amidst pressure to conform to the community's norms. Another Sundance selection of interest in Israel is The Settlers, and this has been making the news in Israel recently, and is a very timely film because we just learned that this week the Israeli government approved $18.6 million to continue building settlements in the West Bank. And this film really looks at the settlements from a historical perspective. So we see a lot of archival footage explaining the history of the settler movement in Israel, as well as some really hard-hitting, groundbreaking footage of the Hilltop Youth and illegal outposts in the West Bank, which now include evangelical Christians from the U.S., as well as extremists, and as well as Israelis that are looking for lower cost of living. So it's a really compelling film. The filmmaker Shimon Dotan will be here to answer questions after the screening, and I think it's going to be a really fruitful and interesting discussion. We also have the world premiere, which is also the Palo Alto opening night of a new film called On the Map by Danny Menken, and it's produced by Nancy Spielberg and Roberta Grossman, who were here with their film Above and Beyond, thank you. And this film is really interesting because before Miracle on Ice, there was the Israeli Maccabi team in 1977 that won the World Championship for basketball. So for those of you who are still in the basketball mode from the sad Warriors game, this is a really amazing basketball film, but it also really covers that period in Israeli history after the 1967 war and going into the 70s, where Israel was really trying to build its profile on the international scene. Danny Menken will be with us in person and answering questions after the screening, and after the Palo Alto opening night, the film will screen also at the Castro in San Francisco. We also have Baba June. This is Israel's Oscar entry, and it's a really interesting entry because the film is almost entirely in Farsi. It features an Israeli Iranian family. It's an immigrant story. Again, the theme comes up, tradition versus modernity, but this time it's a father and son story where the father wants the son to take over the family business, which is a turkey farm in the southern region of Israel, and his son is really drawn to engineering and doesn't want to follow in his father's footsteps. So it's a really poignant film about the immigrant experience in Israel in Persian culture. Then we have Disturbing the Peace, which is a really interesting film about combatants for peace. This is a documentary about former Israeli Defense Force fighters and Palestinian freedom fighters who come together in peace and advocate for a peaceful solution to the Israeli-Palestinian crisis. And they use theater and all kinds of creative means to bring attention to the issue. And I think what's really unique and interesting about this film is that we have a glimpse into an organization that is features Israelis and Palestinians working together in an internal dialogue to overcome their differences to work for peace together. And it's, I think, one of the few stories that we have now that feature that kind of story. Then we have, straight out of the Cannes Film Festival, 1 Week and a Day. This is a really funny and poignant film. It won the International Critic Week's Award at Cannes, and it's about Ayal, who, after finishing the traditional Shiva, which is the week of mourning for his late son, he refuses to return to his traditional established routines and decides to get high with a slacker neighbor. And it's a really humorous and yet serious film about the grieving process and healing. It's a fantastic film, and it's a one-time only screening, so I highly recommend it. Then we have Rabin, In His Own Words. This is a film by Erez Laufer, and some people may have seen One Day After Peace at SFJFF 2012. Erez Laufer directed that. And this is a really interesting film about Rabin in that it's constructed largely from archival material, much of which was shot by Rabin himself, who had a real interest in taking family footage. And the film is constructed with interviews and photographs from Rabin's very early life until his death, and I think people will really learn new things from this documentary. And then finally we have Kudelka shooting Holy Land, and this features Magnum photographer Joseph Kudelka. And it's a very quiet film and a very visual photographic film, as you might expect. He's really shooting the landscape of the Holy Land that is now disfigured by the erection of walls and barricades and security checkpoints. And the director of this film served as his assistant for many years. So it's a really interesting collaboration that I think reveals a new perspective on the security apparatus within Israel and the occupied territories.
So each year we try to highlight a few films that we don't want to get falling through the cracks. I'm going to just mention a few of those, and we'll each take turns. We're showing a film called Keep Quiet. This is about a man named, and I'm going to, for those of you who speak Hungarian, I'm going to completely ruin the pronunciation of this. Szénad Szegedi. He is a rising star in Hungary's right-wing, far right-wing Jobbik Party, who also is in the European Parliament, and he has a big career ahead of him when documents come out that he is actually Jewish. He was raised to be very anti-Semitic and espousing just really vile things, and when he realizes that he was Jewish and that his family hid it from him. His grandmother was actually a Holocaust survivor who has a tattoo on her arm, and she wore long sleeve shirts the whole time he was growing up. As you can imagine, this is a documentary, not fiction, so it's pretty amazing. And as you can imagine, this just turns his world upside down. And he decides to get into Judaism and follow he actually finds a rabbi in Budapest that will kind of take him under his wing. And he reevaluates his whole life. He even goes to a concentration camp with a Holocaust survivor. It's just a fascinating, very strange tale that we saw at Tribeca Film Festival. Another film I wanted to point out is called The Origin of Violence. This is a French World War II and contemporary time thriller. It's about a teacher who is working on his thesis, which is about French resistance during World War II. And he goes to Buchenwald to do some of that research, sees a photograph in the display of a inmate that looks just like his father, and he's really perplexed by this. And he comes back and confronts his father. His father's played by the great French actor Richard Berry, who we've shown other films that he starred in, one called Rue Mandar, which was a closing night film. Anyway, he goes and confronts his father, who is you can tell he's hiding something. And the film goes back and forth between World War II times and modern times, and this mystery gets revealed through the process. And then there's a film that we're actually bringing back. We showed this film at our Winterfest. It's Natalie Portman's A Tale of Love and Darkness. It sold out immediately, and for the first time we're actually bringing back a film to the festival to give other people an opportunity to see this film. This is her directorial debut. She also stars in the film and adapted this. It's an adapted screenplay that she wrote. It's based on Amos Oz's memoir of the same title, and it's all in Hebrew. And she does a remarkable job. It's extremely well shot, and you can imagine she's the writer, director, and star of this film. And takes place in post-war Israel, post-1948, when the country was just coming together. And it's about Amos Oz's relationship, mainly with his mother, but with both parents. So we're very happy to be able to show this once again.
One film I forgot to mention, actually, in the Take Action Day is The Freedom to Marry. And this is directed by Eddie Rosenstein and produced by Jenny Olson, local filmmakers that will be at the screening. And Jenny Olson is kind of a great experimental filmmaker as well. And we'll be doing a panel following that screening talking about LGBT rights. So two can't-miss films. One that probably has my second favorite title besides Joshi is There Are Jews Here, which I imagine there will be some Jews here. No? Okay. It's directed by Brad Lichtenstein. It's a world premiere, and this film is pretty fascinating. It's a documentary about diminishing Jewish communities around the United States. It goes to several small towns in Montana and Texas, Alabama and Pennsylvania, and they're these Jewish communities that are just slowly dying out. There's sometimes only a dozen people in a synagogue. It's a really fascinating film, and the director will be there. And we're really excited to have the world premiere of that. And another one, a narrative film called Fever at Dawn. This is a Swedish film that is sort of a spin-off in a way to a film that we showed last year, a documentary called Every Face Has a Name, which is about Holocaust survivors who became refugees in Sweden, in Malmö, Sweden. And this story takes place during that time in Malmö, and one of the central subject of the film, actor Milan Schruff, who will be here with the screening, is a refugee, and he falls in love with a Hungarian woman. And the film is actually based on the filmmaker's own parents who met this same way. It's beautifully photographed in black and white, and it's a great kind of romantic drama.
Excellent. How many people have seen the Batsheva Dance Company perform? Anybody? Oh, well, you're in for a real cinematic treat. We have an incredible dance film, and we're so lucky to have it here with us in San Francisco. This film won the Audience Award at the South by Southwest Film Festival, and I think it has a really great title as well, Mr. Gaga. And for those of you who don't know, Gaga is a dance technique philosophy that was developed by Ohad Naharin, who's Israel's rock star choreographer. And this is really an incredible film. I'm not an aficionado in the world of dance, and this film really had me, getting up out of my chair and wanting to move. So I hope you'll join us for that. It's a film that was made by the Heyman brothers, Barak and Tomer Heyman, and Tomer will be joining us after the screening. He's also here with another film, very prolific, which won the Audience Award at the Panorama of the Berlin Film Festival. So we've got two Audience Award winners by the same filmmaker. And this film is called Who's Gonna Love Me Now? It's a poignant documentary about this, an Orthodox Israeli living in London with HIV who gets involved in the gay male chorus in London and is really struggling with family acceptance issues. And this will have a nighttime screening, and Tomer will be with us afterwards for Q&A. And both films are also showing in Berkeley after that for people who missed the San Francisco screening. I also wanted to mention, every year we've been highlighting a web series, and this year is no different. And you can catch it right now on our YouTube channel. It's called The Hitchhikers. And this is Yair Agman's web series, and he directed a short film at San Francisco Jewish Film Festival last year called The Arrest, some of you may have seen. He is a film student from Jerusalem, and he is featured in the web series traveling all over the country picking up hitchhikers. And each episode features a ride with a different hitchhiker, and it's really funny and very interesting, and highlights the diverse mosaic of Israeli characters that he picks up. We also have something new that we're trying, which is a screening for tweens and teens of screenagers at the Castro Theater. How many people have kids that cannot get off their digital devices? Or how many people cannot get off their digital devices themselves to listen to their kids? Well, this is a really timely film, and it features parents and kids and experts all talking about, you know, the plague of digital devices in our lives. And this is going to be followed by a bagel and coffee and juice reception on the mezzanine of the Castro, where Reboot, which is a national Jewish organization, will share information about something that they're doing to combat this overemphasis of screen time, which is technology-free Shabbats and a national day of unplugging. So I think it'll be a really interesting screening to bring teenagers to, and tweens, because I think 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds are also facing this future. And then I want to mention a screening that's a one-time only that I'm very excited about. It's the Marin opening night film called Indignation. This is based on the Philip Roth novel by the same name, and it's the directorial debut of James Schamus. And he was the writer and producer of Brokeback Mountain and Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. This is a great adaptation. Philip Roth himself said it was the best adaptation ever of any of his work. And James Schamus himself will be with us talking about the film after the screening. So it's one time only in Marin, but it's not to be missed. So that's our lineup for this year. If you have information about the guests attending the festival and need press kits, please direct your questions to Karen Larson, who's here, and Vince. And now we'll take your questions. Any questions?
It was so well explained that they're like, no more.
Thank you. All right, you guys are a quiet bunch. I think we'll take a quick break of 10 minutes to get coffee and bagels and use the restroom, and then we'll start the screening of our opening night film, The 10th Man by Daniel Berman.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you.